Hello guys, welcome to Harrison Nimbus Studios, and today we're going to do a custom scenario where Woofia invaded the US. Now, there's no absolutely way that anyone would absolutely invade the US because they have two oceans surrounding them. They have regional neighbors like Canada and Mexico, and yeah, they have a lot of thousands of guns in their country. So, we're going to take a little bit Woofia invaded the US. We start with what caused the war. Thinking the cause for war would be probably I don't know, Trump being aggressive to Woofia. And, well, that's not really going to happen because of reasons. Because Woofia is very strong and US is also strong. This is going to be an interesting scenario, so we'll get to it. The first thing on Wolfie's agenda is to get Alaska. They should landed on the coast. As you may know, I just highlighted the thing, so you will see what land is occupied by Wolfia. Wolfie made a huge part of this because they have robot tanks and stuff like that. They made a huge amount of part of this in Alaska, but particularly in California. California is inspired either because Wolfie had landed the forces sent it did so in Sacramento was 50 chapter ordered to Woofia. And yeah, we're going down south to Cesarado, and we see PS will like be needed to have help. But it's just US and Woofia. Back to Alaska. Wolfing troops charter more land than they ever wanted. The capital of Alaska is a little bit too close to Canada, but they don't want to deal with it because they want to deal with the other parts of Alaska first. Back to California, we see a lot of offense going on in Woofia. We see a lot of shipments. Yeah, it's just ain't going on for Woofia anymore. Well, I mean the US. We see a lot of troops a lot of citizens being murdered by Wolfians because Wolfie want living space for their own citizens. Made the way for Woofia to actually conquer these lands. Well, these lands used to be. This land used to be Wolfian, to be fair. You might be wondering why? Because of the global empire. Global empire that they conquered this much. Yeah. They traded a lot of stuff to get all this land. We see Seattle is threatened to be being taken over by Woofia. Wolfian ships are now entering the panhandle of Alaska, meant to take over the capital city in Alaska itself, and move around the coast and check the rest of Alaska. Right there. You see a lot of troops being offense right now. There's just no way that US will ever retake their lands in Alaska. Oops, I did not mean to do that. Sorry about that. To Hawaii, we see Pearl Harbor absolutely invaded, and we have invasion of Hawaii. But locals in this area is pretty happy about Woofia coming to, their not their rescue, but Hawaii was also Wolfian. To be fair, I will tell you that in my other channel. But for now, we're just continuing with the scenario. We see Seattle being shattered by Woofia. Big loss for U.S. autonomy and military and population. You see a lot of lands being absolutely lost, and we see a difficult part for Woofia to do. Cross east to the rest of the U.S. I don't think it would be too hard. Well, it shouldn't be too hard no matter what because they are split in Alaska in some way. Woofia then decided to move this direction to the Great Salt Lake, the lake in Salt Lake, next to Salt Lake City. That's right here. If Woofia managed to take down, U.S. had no opportunity to push them back from there. We see a huge Woofia troops forces moving down south to be late, while this side is moving up north, or northwest or something. They pass with Frank Can, because Woofia don't want to contact with Frank Can at this point, but they do also counter Canada or something like that. Well, not Canada, because they're not in a war. But other reason that Woofia started a war is kind of ridiculous, but it's also very good. This side being a lot of success, this side ain't being successful because there's a lot of military balance by the U.S. and they had to push around to give them to be busy with other areas of the battlefield. Moving back to Alaska, we see Alaska is barely holding on to the spare weapons that they managed to find. Woofia is just not too much. And imagine we see Alaska will probably follows Woofia, but not include all this in because it's just gonna take too much time away from me. We see Salt Lake City, and we have battle for the city and Great Salt Lake. We see Woofia forces cut through and filter a huge amount of military and civilians from the U.S. into this settlement. They freeze down the settlement, and yeah, all the people surrender robes. They want to do with the masses Woofia military. With that, but you just decided to do one thing that they never expect for Woofia to do. Invade Canada or invade from the Atlantic. But you just holding down from here to there. But they did lose with the Battle of Salt Lake City. It's kind of very unfortunate. This Woofia have this huge amount of time to bust through the defenses that the U.S. has. Woofia military bases, well, not military bases, American military bases being threatened by Woofia almost overnight debate after the chapter of Salt Lake. Their objective for Woofia is to chapter Washington, D.C. That is right here. I could be wrong about that, but that might be where it is. So Woofia decided to do the opposite plan. 3 million troops from Woofia, 2 million troops from 3 million troops from Woofia, 2 million Woofia troops from Hawaii, and 30,000 troops from Alaska will go through the Panama Canal and into Florida or Washington, D.C. Florida was pretty successful because Woofia is very strong in this area. Woofia ain't prepared. And the Floridan capital was captured by Woofia. And they managed to capture Washington, D.C. They managed to go only so far in, and they decided to we're not going to go any farther. We see the U.S. American troops begin to retreat, and Woofia is having the time of their lives. I did say start with L. I didn't say a W. I mean, come on. We didn't be concerned about that. You see Woofia forces in Florida move up the eastern coast and also the Gulf of America. And we can mostly seeing Trump being assassinated. But to be fair, Trump is lucky to not be assassinated at this point. In my world. Well, not in my world, in the real world. Because of reasons. He's very lucky. Anyways, that's a wrap up for the war, and let's get started with peace treaty. Alright, peace treaty is the U.S. sold the western coast of the U.S. and a lot inland. They sold Alaska and Hawaii to Woofia, and that's about it. But it was war for the peace treaty between Woofia and the U.S. This is going to be called the Woofia and Nelligan War, and it is in Woofian victory. I will see you guys next time on Harrison, well, not my name, Harris Nimbus Studios, and the next scenario will be on anything that you want, to be fair. But check out my other channel named Harrison vs. Everything, to be fair. It started with ENCYELOPEDIA. And we'll see you guys next time.